Good evening. My name is David Okun. Welcome to my channel. I'm talking about Elon Musk. Is associated mostly with Tesla, but he also has other many activities such as the Musk Foundation. Happy Easter! Happy Easter! Welcome to Easter Sunday here in London, in the UK. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Share with family and friends, and let me know your thoughts and support this channel. We are coming to nearly 4 weeks, nearly 4 months rather. 4 months is a program, and we are going to look at Musk because he's rich. I've said it in other video. Normally, I say to myself, I'm not going to repeat these points, but it seems to be necessary for me to repeat them so that people know, because we have a lot of videos. We have so many videos recorded in the past 3 to 4 months, and so it's only fair to repeat some of the key points raised in the other video. I'm so excited about this program. It has been very productive. Yeah, it's been very educational. A lot of people give positive feedback and an objective feedback, which is actually very encouraging, and it's quite uh, an opportunity for me to share my ideas about many topics and about many subjects. I still lack editing, still lack a lot of functionings of the videoing, but we come such a long way in our dispensation, and can't wait for a time when we get to become more in number, and I'll impatiently wait for that time. I've got so many plans, and hopefully this time I'm going to be more consistently producing as many videos as I can on the topic which matters. We started off with the cost of living, which is a global crisis. The cost of living has been a global crisis, and I've said many things associated with the cost of living. But what I want to repeat now is to say every time you see a crisis of any sort, you need to remember that such a crisis is not going to go away. And it is real. Such a crisis actually affect lives. If you're a child, if you're young, if you're old. And a lot of people actually in our attitudes, in our behaviors, we want problems to go away. Every one of us, we have the habits of thinking problems is going to go away. But I can see that problem doesn't go away. That's why the cost of living is not going to go anywhere. Every time you see a problem affecting society as a crisis, it is going to be there forever, and it could even get worse. And therefore, it is upon us individuals to manage our lives, to deal with these problems, and that's the way life is. There are so many things we don't understand about our lives. Life is full of mysteries, especially if you're a young person. You need to pay attention to what's going on. And you see, to succeed, you have to work hard. And if somebody tells you somewhere to say you can succeed without work, then stop listening to them. Listening to somebody who says you can succeed only by work. You can have ideas, you can be creative, you can be innovative, you can do many fantastic things. But in the end, it is hard work which actually leads to success. And in a country like Britain, if a government is to be responsible, the first thing, the most important thing the government should prepare the country for is to create jobs for people. And if there are no work, if there is no work, then there is going to be poverty in Britain, in any country of the world. If they you see, because we have a government, and the primary function of the government is to run the country. It is the government's responsibility to create work for everyone. If the government doesn't create jobs for everyone in the country, it is failing in its duties. If it doesn't actually create jobs, then there should be an alternative to welfare and livelihood. In the UK, we have the benefit system, which actually account for our income, but our primary source of income is actually work. And if people work, they feel good about life. And if conditions of work is good, then we are a country on the right track. If the condition of work is not good, then we are a country doing poorly. The government will be responsible. And the cost of living is the effect of income related problem. It has to do with poverty. And I've already said elsewhere, I repeat it here, that when you work for a living, the most likelihood is that you are poor. A lot of people want to think they're doing well in life, and a lot of people are doing well in life. Almost everyone, even if people who don't work in the UK, for example, in most developed countries, they are doing well, but it doesn't mean they are rich. You're either rich or poor. The middle class are actually not rich people. The middle class are doing well. But if there's a crisis, such as the cost of living, then the middle class also begin to suffer. And I say this over and over, so that people are actually educated about it. Once you're aware, you begin to think how best to solve a problem. And if you solve a problem, then your life will begin to improve. Life is about living. You can think of something else, but number one priority is about living. There are people who now, because of the cost of living, are considering committing suicide. I say to such people, that is not necessary, because your life is valuable. I spoke in the several videos I posted about something I call the cultural economy. It's about respect. Respecting yourself, respecting others. This mode of conduct actually contributes to our sense of valuing our lives and also valuing the lives of other people. Respect is associated with value. If you value your life, you also value the life of other people. You also value the life of nature, for example, environment. You care about yourself, you care about other people. Your priority, your focus, your efforts, your persevering is to protect and preserve life. That is a cultural argument. And when you see wars in Ukraine, between Ukraine and China, and Russia, you know it is the war is created by disrespect. Russia disrespect Ukraine, and Ukraine disrespect Russia. And at the same time, uh, both do not have respect for each other. There's bitterness, there's anger, there's a lot of violence, and terrible things are being done in Russia and Ukraine. Some things which shouldn't be done in any country, including in America, in the UK, in the developed world, and also in Africa. People should learn their culture. Culture is simply, learning what is right, respect, values, valuing your life, valuing the life of other people. That's what culture is. Cultural progress. And that is what, in my opinion, is lacking significantly. We're doing well in terms of development. We have a lot of wealth. There's a lot of wealth in the world. The reason why, in the face of wealth, there is a lot of poverty because of cultural failure. And the culture has failed because we also fail to learn respect for ourselves and for others. It may sound simplistic, but I'm just trying to simplify the understanding of what culture is all about. If you think about it carefully, culture is nothing else. It's about really valuing one thing and another and looking after your interests in terms of the values. A lot of people talk of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. These are things we respect. These are things we value. And when we have respect, we begin to behave correctly because we are humans. Humans are very resourceful. They are able to do everything. Whatever they decide to do, they succeed to do all the times. Often, there may be setbacks and challenges, but humans are designed for success. When you think about something, you become what you think. So we can think ourselves out of troubles and into prosperity. In this example, the lack we have is the cultural aspect of our progress, which if we change the way we think, if we focus on respect, if we actually put resources in designing learning around respect, then we begin to improve the way we think. And how we think produces mentalities and habits which produces character. And character is important. We talk about good and bad characters. But if you say characters, we mean good characters. And that is why, although we have a lot of wealth, we still have poverty and the cost of living, which is actually proof that we, even in developed worlds, we are still poor. We are poor people among us. And I've already said it again and over that if you work for a living, consider yourself poor. I spoke about different aspects relating to poverty, the low level of pay in Britain, maybe in America and other parts of the world. You work for an organization for the government, for the private companies, or for charities, who will work for themselves as a small and medium business, and you earn low income from these activities, from your work as employed, as self-employed, you end up with low income. Those who actually earn highly, those who earn those who earn high level of income are actually rich. Simple as that. Even if they pay taxes, they don't actually feel the effect. So it's actually at face value correct to assume that rich people don't pay taxes. Yes, they pay taxes, but they don't feel the effect. It doesn't impact on them to create conditions of poverty. And within that explanation, it is correct to actually propose that rich people don't pay taxes. It doesn't matter how much tax they pay. It does not actually affect them with an outcome of leading to poverty. Therefore, the opposite is true of people I refer to as being poor. It's important to identify your status in terms of wealth and wealth access. If you're working for a living, especially if you're on a minimum wage in the UK, which is actually extremely low, and from the top of my head, you don't need to be an expert to know that in the UK, at least you need £20 an hour. And if you're on benefit, you need an equivalent of £20 an hour as well. All the other arguments may be valid about protecting the taxpayers' money and also managing the economy and encouraging people to work. All those arguments is valid. But the government, the UK government in particular, should put these arguments in their proper context, because it's not enough to say people are better off in work when there are, poor conditions of work, including low pay, employment rights, such as rights to unfair dismissal. You end up in a situation in Britain where an employer potentially is capable of doing anything they like. They can produce a system of abuse, terrible employers. That they can be terrible. Employers can be terrible. So we need the law actually to control behavior, because culturally we still have to grow up. We are children. Everybody in the world, everybody in the world is a child. We are either a child because we are not following to do what is right, or if we know what is right, we still fail to implement it in our lives. And if we implement what is right in our life, we still fail to support other people also to do likewise. So in terms of culture, we are still infants. And that's why we need the law. The state has to set laws to control our behavior and to moderate it necessarily. If you break the law, you face the consequences. So every law said tells you what to do and what not to do. And it also explains the consequences if you don't comply with the law, what happens to you, and how it is going to be processed. Basically, that's how the law looks. And the law is not peaceful at all. The only source of peace is actually cultural development, cultural progress. When we achieve the state where we are culturally capable, which means we are adults, We are well educated in terms of understanding how to build relationships, how to maintain peaceful relationship. That is essentially that's what it is. And we have failed on the street, even in homes. People are always fighting. Every time you see, it doesn't matter how small or big the fight is. You don't need to be physical. That's why we have so many different types of abuses. Some abuses actually you ignore somebody, you don't talk to them at all. You just treat them as if they are not human. You don't show them love. That means you are abusing them. I mean, if somebody is your wife or your husband and you don't even talk to them, that is an abuse, emotional abuse. And then the other forms of abuse is evidence of our failure to act maturely. We are children. We are chaotic. You see, we don't understand peace. Even if we want to be peaceful, we fail. So education is really important to produce positive results culturally. And we need to start thinking carefully how to integrate this into our educational system at a sociological level, where in schools or in the community, in churches, in other social infrastructural setup, we need to include formats for cultural development, cultural economy. And this is something lacking in our society. And it is evident in different ways. The cost of living is a crisis. It began with the war in Ukraine. But if you look at the history of economic and political development, you look at in Britain incidences such as Brexit, where a political crisis occurred in Britain, where Britain actually exited the European Union. It's called Brexit. Before then, we had the financial crisis, which was created by the banks and the financial institutions. It was created deliberately. You know, we created failures of the economy, and the conditions are there. I mean, if you think about the credit system, the credit economy, the shadow economy, shadow banking, and all those factors, you begin to ask yourself, what are we doing? Why do you have to borrow money all the time? Money we can't even afford, money we can't pay back. See, the big banks, the big financial institutions are borrowing money to run their businesses, also to run the economy. The governments are doing the same, borrowing. The credit system, Africa, China, I mean the developing world, and also the individual. Part of the problem associated with the cost of living is actually in terms of household income is actually dead. So people don't borrow so much money, credit cards. I mean, there are other all sorts of kind of like credit instruments. People are lured. I don't know if lured is the correct word, but people do business like that. If you are a creditor, that's how you make your money. But it's shadow. It's fake. It's a shadow economy, and these are part of the major factors creating a lot of economic crisis. You know, it's characteristic of what we have now under capitalism. It's not like under other system things will be better or different. If we were having something resembling what we might call socialism, meaning the state would be borrowing more than the private sector to finance the economy, to finance services, you know, and so the problem is the same. And then if we talk about credit, you know, it's a factor of income or finance management or mismanagement. If we were under socialism, we'd be borrowing money to spend on public services more than on private services. We would say socialism will be serving the many and not the few. Capitalism will be serving the few and not the many. And socialism is the opposite. But like I said, when I discussed capitalism, I said the only economic system in the world, in the past and in the present, has been capitalism. Socialism has been operating within capitalism to moderate capitalism. Whether in Russia, whether China, North Korea, by its nature, modern economic, even ancient ones, because I look at capitalism and that is what I discovered. Society have always operated a economic system of capitalism. State capitalism, social capitalism. Communism was an idea which didn't really took off. It didn't take off at all. What we had actually under the former Soviet Union was actually capitalism, which actually was moderated by a sense of social capitalism, state capitalism. There has never been communism, has never existed. And now we are actually moving to the right of the political spectrum, which means our mode of capitalism operational now is more extreme, is more raw. That is why the cost of living is something to expect. It's not going to go anywhere. And a similar crisis, like the financial crisis, the credit system, and all those things, and also taxation. Like I said, if you're poor, everything is a tax. If you're spending to buy something necessary, if you're spending on a necessity like food, fuel, transport, housing, these are all taxation. In addition to direct taxes like income tax, also VAT, value added tax. You buy a property, maybe inherit, what do you call it? Or if you inherit wealth, that's inheritance tax. There are all sorts of taxes. If you buy, it's capital gain tax, things like that. These are taxes, and there are all sorts of taxations. I think they are now talk about taxing pension also. And obviously, like I said, the problem of pension is a form of benefit, welfare benefit. The problem with state pension or occupational pension or private pension is actually, it's the same with pay. It's low for the majority of the people of Britain and for the majority of people of the world generally, because of globalization, the economic system is harmonized, which means what happened in the UK also happens in Africa, although slightly different in Africa because of the structure of the economy. Africa is less developed than in terms of civil infrastructure. That's why in Africa mostly governments rely on militarism to run the country and the economy, to run society, because of lack of civil system for civil administration, which is what will actually occur in Africa. The richer Africa becomes as an industrial estate. But for now, Africa is struggling more. Although Africa still has land for its citizens, these lands are actually not being used productively for economic purposes. That means the value of land in Africa is, in terms of the economic value, in terms of wealth, in terms of development, the value of land is almost zero, nil. Until these lands are being developed, but ironically, it's going to be developed by multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires in Africa and abroad. People who are poor do not have the capacity to develop even their land. I saw it in Africa. So with policies like taxation or policies of investment, land owners in Africa will lose their lands to wealthy people. Because one way or the other, they're either going to sell it or the government is going to take it for development. There are policies in Africa where government has power to take any land not being developed, even if land which are developed, but not being developed in the way the government approves. Potentially, such a land is going to be taken away by the government for development. If not, then it will be given to foreign investors or domestic investors. And investors are always people with money. This means these are wealthy people, millionaires in US dollar and billionaires in US dollar. And the investment mode now happening in Africa is so complex. If you put corruption in the way people use public money, it's so complicated that you find somebody owning thousands of lands. You ask them, where did you get the money from? Out of the blue, they come with, millions of US dollar. And within 2-3 years, they are multi-billionaires. Where did you get the money from? They can't explain. And if you insist, they're going to be upset. That means probably they didn't get the money correctly. That is a separate problem to do with Africa. Not only Africa, but any part of the world. Corruption is operated in different ways. In a country like Britain, you wouldn't even know that there is corruption, but there is corruption in this country. In the developed world, there is corruption always. You just have to realize how it operates. And you have to ask yourself why. How come some people are rich and others are not? Because normally those who are actually working and poor, it provides enough evidence that something is not right with the economy. And we talk of people who are smart. The government is running the country. How comes some people are suddenly smart? They don't have to do any work, accessing millions or even billions of US dollars in the country. Then you have these situations of inequality. And then you have the proposition that the idea that some people are smarter than others, that's why they are rich. That kind of proposition is actually a product of corruption, because that is not true. A lot of poor people actually work so hard. And a lot of people, especially now in Britain and countries like Britain, a lot of people are actually, they're smart. Because they went to school, they went to universities, and yet some of them are out even in business. They are doing business. But they're doing small and medium businesses. You see? And the complexity of accessing wealth and retaining wealth is so important for people to understand. So that if you are rich or poor, You don't take anything for granted for being poor or for being rich. I know if people try, they can achieve what they want to achieve, but in a country like Britain, it's almost impossible now to access wealth unless you have a personal connection with somebody who can favor you to access wealth. I mean, a lot of people work for wealth and they get it, but a lot more work for wealth and they don't get it. So if you don't get rich, even it doesn't matter how hard you try, then work for something else. I mean, you can aim to be rich, but realistically, pay attention to getting out of poverty. Because getting rich and getting out of poverty are two different things. If you're poor, you get out of poverty first, and then you start working yourself towards wealth. Some people actually are born in wealth. That is a different issue. Their challenge is actually to maintain their status as inheritors of wealth, and also try to maintain, to strengthen their positions, expand maybe their estates. That's how it works. A cycle of wealth, the cycle of poverty. Breaking the cycle of wealth is very difficult. But if it happens, it's very tragic to the owners of wealth. Breaking the cycle of poverty is also very, very difficult. And if it happens, it's a cause of a big celebration for communities of poverty. But these are some of the things I will be talking about. And these are the topics which are actually independent, but they are related to the cost of living. And that also explains why I've been talking about Elon Musk and other wealthy people before moving on to speaking about other things. But like I said, because the cost of living is a crisis, I'll be speaking about the cost of living in terms of other elements. And Elon Musk, will look at him as a rich person, the opposite of being poor. Elon Musk evidently does not suffer the cost of living as a crisis. So he's the president of Elon Musk Foundation. Elon Musk Foundation is one of the projects Elon Musk has. So the Musk Foundation is one of his projects, and the purpose is to provide solar power energy systems in disastrous areas, to support research and development, and to provide advocacy and with interests including human space exploration and pediatrics, renewable energy, and safe artificial intelligence. These are some of the things Elon Musk Foundation will be doing, mainly research and development, and also advocacy work. Advocacy is like campaigning, and it is also interested in pediatrics, things to do with children, and also things like renewable energy and safe artificial intelligence. I don't know what safe artificial intelligence look like. I think that they're making emphasis on safety, perhaps because campaigners sometimes give challenges, provide challenges for innovations and new technology, and the foundation also support science and engineering educational efforts. So education involving science and engineering. I think science and engineering is extremely important. It's going to take over the way it provides actually frameworks and infrastructures for running society in a different way. With science and engineering, including technology and all these things that artificial intelligence is going to run society, to create wealth, to create um, services, products within the health sector and within the social sector, food production, for example, and energy production. And people will actually stop work if these projects actually succeed in their objectives. Society will stop working because there will be no need to work. Machine and technology, for example, will be doing work. I've actually discussed this in the other videos. So, for example, from 2002 to 2018, the foundation gave $25 million directly to non-profit organizations, nearly half of which went to Musk's OpenAI. I discussed OpenAI, which actually AI is actually artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, which was at the same time a non-profit. Non-profit means it's not a private business. It's a community project, probably. But normally these projects are actually controlled by someone like Musk and other millionaires and billionaires who actually invest their money into foundations. Since 2002, the foundation has made over 350 donations. So they give donations to different needs or different objectives. So a notable beneficiary include the Wikipedia Foundation is Alma Mater, the University of Pennsylvania. That's where I studied. The University of Pennsylvania. That's where Elon Musk studied. Is Alma Mater, the University of Pennsylvania, and his brother Kimball's Big Green. Big Green is one of the projects. I don't know exactly what it is, but by the sound of it, it probably means something to do with environmental protection, maybe clean energy or whatever. And that is actually Elon Musk's brother's project. His name is Kimball Big Green. The project's actually Kimball's Big Green, which is actually the name of the project. I think Kimball is actually Elon Musk's brother. In 2012, Musk took the giving pledge, thereby committing to give the majority of his wealth to charitable causes either during his lifetime or in his will. So there's something called, look at it again, giving pledge. It's something most wealthy people do. Giving pledge, he promises actually to give most of his wealth away. But the problem with these kind of sentiments is that if you look at the record of Elon Musk, the way he treats his employee, and then, your employee should be treated like your family because they work so hard to produce wealth for you. What is the point of giving your wealth in the first place before even paying your employees well. I mean, if you really, really want to give your well, this is actually a practice. We look at Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and we're probably going to, if the more wealthy people we look, there's a pattern where they don't really pay their employees well. They don't want to pay even them well. They actually treat their employees very, very badly. And then how do you decide to give your wealth? What is the meaning of giving your wealth to charity? That is the contradiction. I mean, I have a problem with that sentiment. So he has endowed prizes at the X Prize Foundation, including 100 million US dollar to reward improved carbon capture technology. So you have things like carbon capture technology. He gives money to things he is interested in. Things to do with the environment, with the health, with nature. It seems to me the foundation has all to do with what Elon Musk is interested in. It appears to me that he's not interested in people, really. He's interested in things. He likes wealth. Because all these are actually capital investment. Some of them are infrastructural investment. So his focus is actually every time he does something, even in capital, when he's investing in his private business, or when he's investing in the foundations he gives money to, his focus is about capital investment and infrastructural investment. Rich people tend to avoid investing in human projects. They invest in material projects, wealth, in other words. They don't. I see that they don't like people. They like wealth. Even the charity they do, it is not really there to support people. It's there to support capital. They invest in wealth other than in people. I mean, they should invest in people first. Even in their private businesses, they should pay their employees well. That is social investment. And when they're doing charity, they should also support people more than things. Leave a comment below what you think should be a priority for wealthy people. Is it things or people? I think it's really weird. If you are rich or poor, your priority is actually you prioritize things or money or wealth over human life. Human life is less important to you than the life. I mean, if these things are alive or dead, I don't know. I really know. Wealth. Leave a comment below if you think wealth is alive or dead. It doesn't matter. They are not people. They are not humans. And this is actually what I call a cultural failure. Because these people should be culturally more educated so that they look after people more than money and wealth. So you got things like somebody called Vox. They say that the Musk Foundation is almost entertaining in its simplicity, and yet it's strikingly opaque. If something suffers from opacity, it means you don't understand it well. It's obscure. It's not really clear. There's no clarity. It's simple, but you don't really get it. Nothing that its website was only noting that its website was only 33 words in plain text. They hide things. They hide their project. They don't want to reveal anything. They are opaque. They operate within. They are not transparent. They operate within the scene. They are full of secrecy. They hide because they are wealthy. They hide their activities. They hide their wealth. They don't show anything to people. Even their knowledge, they don't really share with people. They keep it to themselves. They're shellfish. They are not peaceful. They just want status quo. They want to keep what they get necessarily, which is actually selfish, which is violence actually. Especially when you live in a world you have to share with other people. You take everything away and keep it for yourself. And sometimes you don't even know if they really care about their families. So the website, I am told, if you visit the website of the Musk Foundation, for example, 33 words in plain text. So which means that plain text, I don't know what you mean, but probably is full of complexity. The rest of the material is so complex that it's so opaque. You cannot access it either by design or by accident. The foundation has been criticized for the relatively small amount of wealth donated. They still donate very little wealth. But like I said, even if they donate a lot of wealth, they don't really benefit people. It benefit wealth creation. In November in 2020, Forbes gave Musk a philanthropy score of 1 because he had given away less than 1% of his wealth, his net wealth. He gives, but he gives very little, which is also the problem of the UK government. He gives benefits. He sets minimum wage, but he sets the minimum wage very low. So it keeps people in poverty. So everything seems to be fake. They give, but they don't. Like the local authorities in the UK give a lot of help for people, but they don't. The government give a lot of help for people, even the cost of living help, but they don't. At least for one reason, the level of help is very low. It's like somebody has stayed without food all day, and you only give them a tablespoonful of soup and just a little bowl of rice. You go and tell everyone you gave food to somebody who was actually hungry, but you didn't, because they're still going to die of starvation even if you gave them, because you gave them very little. And that's when the Elon Musk of the world gives something, it's just negligible, generally, including the government. So because this is actually, Elon Musk represents a private type of government, and the government, as you and I understand, is actually a public type of government, at least conceptually. That is the government we own as the people, or common people, the citizens. Elon Musk is a government in his own right. He owns much of the wealth of the world. In November 2021, Musk donated 5.7 billion of Tesla's shares to charity. According to regulatory filings, however, Bloomberg News noted that all of it went to his own foundation, bringing Musk Foundation's asset up to 9.4 billion at the end of 2021. So there is also a form of dishonesty in their giving, because he gave the Musk donation in 2021. Musk donated 5.7 billion of Tesla's share to charity, according to regulatory filings. However, Bloomberg News noted that all of it went to his own foundation, bringing Musk Foundation's asset up to 9.4 billion. So he gave it to himself. In short, he gave donations, but he gave it to his own foundation. He didn't. So he kind of recycled the money. It's like taking money from one pocket and transferring into another pocket, and he says he's giving it to somebody else. He makes his giving sound as if he's taking money from his pocket and put it into somebody else's pocket. But actually, he put most of the money, most of the money into his own pocket. It's like taking money from your house and hiding it in your cupboard, and you pretend you're giving money to somebody else. So the foundation disbursed $106 million to non-profits that year. Um, so this is actually the reason I'm actually on about this, to give you an idea what happens behind the scene of wealthy people. Thank you for watching this video, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and like the video, share with your family and friends. Find time and watch it again if you need to, and support the program. Click the notification bell, leave a comment below. Thank you. Bye bye.